Good morning, everyone. Today I am going to read an important article in the Sunday Guardian, that is Ladakh, a climate warning from the roof of the world. Ladakh unrest reveals deeper ecological collapse threatening the Himalayas and India's survival. Acharya Prashant says the mountain has been unquiet for a while. The quiet high air of the Ladakh that covers the country, just incoming news of protest is far. This September wasn't just a protest, it was a sign of something bigger. Thousands of Ladakhi people died. The Sonam Wangchuk had from a balance between their preservation and development was arrested under the National Security ACT. Soon, protests were seen in Kargil and Dehradun, but this didn't get enough coverage. Ladakh is the warning of something that can't be handled by laws or borders. It isn't a protest to be managed, but an ecological fight between regions. It is the life of not just the Himalayas and with it the existence of billion people that comes from the melting snow. The melting wall of the north. We haven't seriously talked about melting snow and are considered as a sacred place beyond to touch and stay untouched. That is no longer true, and it moves. Geologists, glaciologists, and climatologists are not silent since they are always reminding us how quickly the earth's crust moves. It is weak because it is young and its scars are now being seen. The warnings about the Himalayas are not the lives of the people but of an unpredictable cloudbursts bearing heavy rainfall in mountain land that know only snow, landslides, swelling towns, disappearing glaciers, and glaciers that are breaking too soon. This is self-inflicted wound has been open for a while now. The glaciers that used to be a source of life are now slowly fading away. It took millions of years for the snow to build, but it is now melting at the speed not seen in decades. According to the Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology and Dehradun, 77% of the Ladakh glaciers have become very small and are at the transition of 2000 square kilometers, which lost about 21% of area each year. The rivers that used to be covered in white are now becoming redwood. More heat and spring is coming sooner, changing what looks like a different world to us. It is like a creeping collapse. There is less ice where there should be snow and the rain where there should be. The mountains used to hold ice, not now. The desert that lost its ice. The changes that fall from the sky in old Ladakh is changing how we see everything. Every summer, light descends from the height and ice from the winter comes down into the valleys as the snowline becomes higher and more common. Now, smaller things that used to bring life are now drying up, and quiet fields that were to be cultivated are turning bare. When there isn't any snow, people use what they have left, like thin streams and leftover water, for before everything disappeared. Today, villages are waiting for water, for the rock, for the rain, and the thing that cannot get to come back. The mountain is melting from the top, and the people who need them can only see what is left of the ice barrier to the sound the first alarm and melt. When the field began to crack, the changing climate means less water that comes directly to the little fields. This is not a new tale, and the world already doesn't know what to do about them. 1 billion people go without water now, and now 2 billion more don't know when their next drop will be. The FAO's 2023 report warned that more than 3 billion people today live in countries facing malnutrition and climate disruption is expected to make our future even worse when things become to get hungry. For centuries, men starting to get work in farmlands of Ladakh followed a regular pattern of ploughing and planting, moving back and forth between the north and the north of the old glacier races. Harvesters don't get a little, they get enough. It is not working hard. They get to work with the ice pick and cabbage. When the snow returns, they leave. That's right. The old is yielding results. The problem is timing is right. There is not a lack of grain, but lack of planning. We don't want to live without things, but we don't know how to create a future. Every drought and every anting grain silo is a sign that what the real famine starts with begins when the seeds are gone. Drought starts when the land is expected to give more than it can. The loop that set the world on fire. The world doesn't fall apart all at the once. It comes apart in circles, which each cause making its own effect. The mirror goes first, less ice to look at and less white reflects the light. Instead, there's just black rock, which makes things hotter and continuous reflect. The soot from our cars and factories falls from buildings make glaciers even warmer. There are not data points that make a headline for the week. They are alarms. Scientists call this feedback loops, and recent ISRO data show over 2,000 glacier lakes from every year across India, a ticking time bomb waiting to burst. An age of fire, we feel its heat a bit, but it is another means to keep it burning fresh fuel. The price of our distraction. We look away, we feel the danger for sure. If the damage we have already caused by the distraction has a problem, it is now about to get worse, and our screen tells us something else. This will remind us while the world is collapsing, climate change is something that you can see on a graph, an argument, or an UN report. It still feels far from the phone. Even if it impacts us, it doesn't hurt. We may think that doing something good now will help us later and will change things. We believe we can go back, then come back if things make us mess. Maybe we will miss the little things, but the environment will be fine. When we try to change things, individual acts feel too small, too lonely. We live and as an entire species, policies are made, grids are drawn up, but our own soul resists the real change. This is where real change begins. It requires an inner discipline of needs that find and energize us. We feel empty, a void, a fire that can eat the seeds that are meat for tomorrow. If we don't need it for substance, it is the greed that has set the fire on. A ton of carbon has its own mark. Most of them are our own, but we can't afford too much. The price is not getting cheaper. It is ending time for more. The fire keeps getting hotter while the improvised South pays for it. The real goal isn't only to explode, but it is to create the world in a way that people give dignity, where the people feels more comfortable and society goals are not just growth but a real sign of development. A fire beneath the debris. Ladakh protest is more now than a warning. It is a plea from a place we rarely hear from. It's a reality, just a reflection of when scientists warned us about glaciers surfing, lakes forming out of nowhere scoot, and water evaporating faster than it should be. They are only fascination to those who believe, the scientists who see the scientists see. The tears of the Himalayan mountains are losing their history, and the rivers that run from them now learning to run dry. Those who think the Ladakh protest is just a local issue, interesting in one area, don't understand how deeply it affects us. It's not only about politics, but also human life in a distant Ladakh. It would be cruelly lonely if country became lost. It started at the edge of a map. The trembling doesn't stop, so here it starts. Then science to break. Taking care of Ladakh is not just a nice idea, it is something, it's the way to protect our future. The Himalayas must be treated as invulnerable and scattered things. They should be limited, tourism friendly, and safe. Every project that touches its slopes must be handled with responsibility. But the real change must begin not in the land but in our mind. As long as we keep thinking about the Himalayas as the background of Instagram selfies, the soft foundation that supports our life will continue to crumble. The only way to close the gap is to get close. And legislation alone won't keep the mountains in peace. Sonam Wangchuk fast is over, at least for now, but the main problem behind it isn't. He is released. Instead, we are left with the fragile Himalayas. They keep the monsoon winds at bay and the crops wet, and you keep the weather at a cost. Ladakh is not rebelling, it's breaking. The cry for help coming from its valleys are not just the Ladakhi people. They are a call to remind us of what the Himalayas do to help us stay alive. Our survival is connected to the glacier. To look at the Ladakh today is to see at our future. We cracks in its eyes and reflections of our own scattered souls. Our refusal to pause in the race against ourselves. Acharya Prashant is a philosopher. Acharya Prashant is philosopher and a founder of Prashant Advait Foundation. A foundation is a spiritual knowledge and education and the best-selling author of books on modern spirituality that try to answer modern questions.